The following is a recording for Gabriella Wilkes of Plan A Media, LLC on Wednesday, July 25th, 2012 at 2:30 p.m. Central Time. Excuse me, everyone. We now have our speakers in conference. Please be aware that each of your lines is in a listen-only mode. At the end of the presentation, we will open the floor for questions. At that time, instructions will be given. I would now like to turn this conference call over to Ms. Gabriella Wilkes. Ma'am, you may begin.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for taking time to join us today. We are absolutely pleased to have on the line Mr. Cincotti-Danza and Mr. Peter Cincotti. Tony and Peter, you guys just want to say hello to everyone?
You go first, Peter.
How you doing, everybody? This is Peter.
And hi, everybody. It's Cincotti-Danza.
Yeah, so we're really excited. As you know, they are pairing up for this really, really great musical, How Deep is the Ocean. Peter is doing music and lyrics. Tony's making a really fun surprise guest appearance that the audiences are just raving about. So we're going to get into that in a minute. But first off, we just want to introduce Katie, who is the Conference America operator. She's going to be assisting us and explaining how the call will work. Please keep in mind we have a limited amount of time for the call, but everyone on the call will have a chance to speak with Tony and Peter by taking turns, and all will be able to hear the entire call. So we will now hear from Katie.
Thank you. At this time, we will open the floor for questions. If you would like to ask a question, please press the star key followed by the 1 key on your touch-tone phone now. Questions will be taken in the order in which they are received. If at any time you want to remove yourself from the questioning queue, you can press star 2. Our first question comes from Jerry Noon from Windy City Times.
Hey, guys. How are you?
Hi.
How you doing?
Good. Terrific. Sorry, I didn't hear where you're from because somebody clicked me just... Times?
Yeah, Windy City Times in Chicago.
All right. Okay.
Well, that's what my question is. Do you guys plan on maybe taking the show around, maybe come to Chicago?
Peter?
Yeah, well, I mean, this is our first step. So, yes, we would love to follow the show wherever it goes. I think we're interested in developing it and maybe going out of town. New York was a hell of a place to start, and we learned a lot. So hopefully we'll come across Chicago some point soon. But right now there's nothing definite.
And, Jerry, it's just such an accessible musical. It really is. I mean, not only the story, because it's about a pool man, a regular guy, but the music that Peter has written for it is there's so many different styles, and it leaves you, not only do you tap your feet, but you end up humming the music all week. That's what's happened to me at least. And so I think it would play great in Chicago, as they say. It would play great in Peoria.
It sounds like a lot of fun, and it would look great from the clips and everything.
Oh, it really is. I really wish that the music. I mean, the music is really the star of the show, and he just did a great job. He just wrote some stuff that it thrills me to think what he might come up with next.
And how did you get involved with the show, Tony? You just were his neighbor?
Me and him are friends. I discovered him when he was 18 years old. I saw him at the Catalina Bar and Grill in California. I went to see him. I heard about this kid, Peter Cincotti. He's Italian. I want to go see. So I went to see him, and he blew me away, and we've been friends ever since. And in fact, when I had my talk show, I tried to talk Peter into being my music director and being the house band on the show. If he would have known that the show was going to get canceled in 2 years, it would have been a perfect job for him. But unfortunately, he didn't. But we go way back, and then he wrote this play, and he told me about it, and then he said, "Listen, I want you to do a number in it." And at first, it was another number called "Too Much Salt," which is a terrific number done by what's LaVon's last name? Fisher, right? LaVon.
Yes, that's right.
And she's wonderful, But then he decided one day I was tap dancing, and he said, I got to do something with tap dancing, and he wrote another song. He's like that, this kid. And he wrote a song called It's Part of Growing Balls, where I try to sort of boost the hero of the show. And I do make an entrance from the audience. I do get to tap dance a little bit, and it's just the most fun, about the most fun you can have without starring in the show.
It sounds hilarious, so I'll have to check that out. Definitely hook up with Broadway in Chicago and come here. We'd love to see the show.
We certainly
would love to come. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you. Our next question comes from Michael Roberto from Pop Culture Madness.
Hi, guys. How you doing?
Hey, what's that? Well, Pop Culture Madness?
We're a website devoted to everything pop culture.
I love it. I love it, love it, love it. Okay.
Well, actually, Peter, I was wondering, the title of your musical is a title of an Irving Berlin song, and wondered if Berlin had any influence on you.
Well, there's no connection to that song or him with regard to the play, but he's had a huge influence on me. He's one of my idols, along with a bunch of people, but his contemporaries like Frank Lesser and Cole Porter and Irving Berlin, they were direct influences for what I wrote for this play.
Just to add, one of the things that people don't realize about Peter is that, he's a great musician, and it's really, when you watch him play the piano and sing and perform, we're going to see him tonight at the Living Room. He's got a show tonight. He's fabulous, but what he really does best is write. I mean, the stuff he writes is just tremendous. I've been talking about this stuff. He always laughs at me because I remember some of the lines that he doesn't even remember he writes. But he writes these incredible lines. I mean, I said this yesterday on the Today Show, that line about, I want to smell the roses of our love the day they bloomed. Give me a break. You don't write that line when you're 25. That's impossible. So I think that's really the star, and you can certainly see the influences of those great lyricists, those great songwriters in his work.
That's actually what I was thinking. I listened to one of the tracks off of Metropolis on YouTube today, because I honestly, Peter, I'm sorry, I actually hadn't heard of you two today, and I'm very sorry about that.
No, that's all right.
Heard was absolutely amazing.
Check out the second album, too. You got to check out his other album. It's called Easy Town.
Okay.
East of Angeltown.
East of Angeltown. Listen,
you're supposed to know the lyrics.
I'm sorry. The thing about it is that the second album is when he sort of made his change. He was a jazz singer, and he was doing standards. He was doing that stuff. And then all of a sudden, he wrote this album, and Metropolis is a continuation of that. But you got to see where he started from. It's really something.
No, absolutely. And Tony, just out of curiosity, any plans of doing anything else on Broadway? I can certainly see you in Guys and Dolls.
Yeah, well, would I love to play? I'd like to play. Oh my gosh, would like to do that. But no, we're trying actually. I'm involved with a show called Honeymoon in Vegas. Jason Robert Brown wrote the score. Andrew Bergman is again writing the book, and that's something that we're trying to get to Broadway. But listen, that's if I could have my wish, that's where I would be, and that's why it's so much fun to have this one number in Peter's play.
Terrific. Well, hey, thank you guys a whole lot. I really appreciate you talking with me today.
Pop culture madness, baby, forever.
Thank you again. If you would like to ask a question, please press *1 at this time. Our next question comes from Joe Schakowsky from Examiner.com, Delaware.
Hello, Joe.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Good.
How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for taking the time. Peter, I wanted to ask you first. I know you've written for the screen before, but this was the first time you wrote a full-on score or the music for an entire show. And I know that your sister wrote the script. Is that correct?
That's correct. Pia wrote the book.
So what was the process like? Was the script written first and then you came in and wrote?
Well, Pia put it up as a one-act play in college about 10 years ago, and it was not a musical at the time, and it got this very kind of cult following in school. And for years she had been on me to write the music, and for years I would say, I don't know about musical theater, I don't know how to do this. And somewhere in between my last record and the new one that just came out, there was about a year there where I was writing a lot, and I was writing for the record, and I said, screw it, let me try and write a song for the play. So I just did it for fun, and this ended up being about 4 years ago, and then 1 week later I'd write another song, and before you know it, we have had a full-length musical, and we had a team around it.
Could I ask a question? Excuse me.
Yeah.
What was the first song you wrote in the show?
The first song I wrote was "Shine," actually, which is still in the play, because through the years there have been tons of cuts and revisions. But the first song I wrote ends up being
Brings Down the House.
I think one of the highlights.
And it Brings Down the House. Yeah, it's just a terrific song. I didn't know. I didn't know which song you wrote first. That's funny.
Yeah, that one. And then also just there was something about the nature of the topic, the fact that it was a crazy comedy that there seemed to be no rules and you could write anything. I was also going through all this political stuff with the labels, and the record business has been changing a lot through the last few years, and I was switching teams, and it was just a lot of political stuff while I was writing for the record. So that also somehow unleashed me in a different way, just to write without anybody breathing down your neck saying, well, it should be this, and if you want to hit single, you got to have this. And, you know, it was just freeing in a way. The record aspect of things wasn't. So one really influenced the other, and then the play ended up influencing the record I just wrote. So it was two processes that were polar opposite in style. So
yeah, I was going to say that because I think Metropolis, a lot of the songs on it have a very cinematic quality to them.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know. I think I was just writing with two different hats on. You know, one was for writing for characters, trying to move the plot along, and then the other one was just to tell different stories, you know, in a different way, which was Metropolis. But I don't know.
Yeah,
that's what came out.
Yeah, and Tony, I had the pleasure of interviewing you when you brought your solo show to Resorts many years ago in Atlantic City.
August 11th. I'm back there. A crazy symmetry. Yeah, I'm going back to Resorts August 11th.
Oh, great!
Yeah.
Great. Oh, you'll be in town soon then.
Yeah, I'm excited.
If you've done legit theater with the producers, and now what you're doing now, I mean, do you have a preference? I mean, what you're really what kind of really floats your boat these days?
Well, I mean, listen, you know, I just did a movie. I just did a movie with Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Scarlett Johansson, by the way, and that kind of floated my boat. That was kind of cool, you know. I mean, it all does. It's great, but I like being on the stage. I just do like performing. And so, I mean, you know, right now I'd really like to be on Broadway. You know, I'm working on a television series too. So I'm sort of, and my book comes out in September. How about that? I mean, you know, I'm a busy guy.
Sounds like it. Yeah. Thanks, guys. I'll let somebody else ask a question. If there's time, I'll ask another one later.
Okay, good talking to you.
Thank you.
Again, if you'd like to ask a question, just press *1. Our next question comes from Shannon Rose from Rose Hollywood Report.
Hey, Tony, it's Shannon Rose here with the Rose Hollywood Report. I want to start out with you. I want to ask you, and we just you touched upon a little bit there about Broadway. What is the feeling Broadway compared to when you were on Who's the Boss and some of these other, I mean, what is the difference in your feeling to when you were on the TV part? Are you able to improv more?
No. It's mostly in the TV you could improv a little bit more. On a TV show, you can't improv. It's tough to improv in a play because there's no second chances. You know, but doing the sitcoms back then, you know, both Taxi and Who's the Boss and a number of other sitcoms I have done, you know, that's like doing a play. You do a 50-page play every week, you know, and you try to wring out every bit of humor, and then on Friday you do 2 performances of that play. You know, so it is much like doing stage. But there's, I mean, just to be here in New York, to go to the theater here and to you know, when I did the producers, see, I've done some straight plays here too. I did The Iceman Cometh, and I did Arthur Miller's A View from the Bridge. So, but to be on stage in New York, there's nothing like that. There just isn't. I don't know what else there is. You know, there's a moment in the producers where Max, he's in jail and he gets down on his knees and he sees somebody else's life flash before his eyes. But you're on your knees in the St. James Theater with a spotlight on you, and you realize, where the hell? I'm on Broadway. You know, there's 7 billion people in the world. Look where I am. You know, that's what I'm very excited about being here and dying to get back on the boards.
And my other 2 questions for you real quick to hit the other 2 TV shows you mentioned. Taxi, did you ever have a chance to work with Andy Kaufman? How was it to work with him?
Well, you know, Andy was an enigma. That was his sole purpose in life, was to be an enigma. He wanted you to worry. He wanted you to ask that question. That's what he wanted. And he was good at making people wonder. And he was, you know, and at first I have to tell you, you know, you think he's not my kind of guy, you know. He's in his car meditating, living on seaweed, and we're all rehearsing. But he turned out to be one of the great guys, and a really, you know, and obviously so far ahead of his time and then unfortunately the terrible disease, and we lose him at 35 years old.
Last question for you. Do you ever still stay in touch with the Who's the Boss cast? And talk about your experience working on that show. Do you still talk to people like Alyssa Milano and others that were on that show?
Yeah, but Judith just won the Tony this year for Other Desert Cities. I speak to her a lot. I speak to Catherine. Danny and I are in touch. We speak. You can't be. We were like a family, so we're still a family.
Very good. This has been Shannon Rose, the Rose Hollywood Report. Thank you guys for joining us.
Okay, Shannon. He's more interested, Pete. He's not interested to play, that guy.
Again, if you would like to ask a question, please press star 1 at this time. We have another question from Joe Schakowsky from Examiner.com, Delaware.
Wow, that was quick. So, Peter, I wanted to ask you about your last couple of albums compared to the first in terms of stylistically. You started out more or less as a straight-ahead jazz guy, and certainly Metropolis and the success that you had with the last album, especially in Europe, kind of is put you in a different direction. Was it a conscious decision to just go in that direction, or was it just that's what you were feeling at the time you were creating, or?
It was probably as unconscious as it could have been. I think what Tony said earlier was true in that the writing, once I really just started thinking about music in terms of writing and what I want to say and what's interesting to me, that's what ended up changing the style. For some inexplicable reason, as soon as I wrote, what came out was East of Angeltown, and this other sound. And then, it was not only in retrospect can I look back and say, maybe try and understand the reasons why, but no, it just happened. It really just happened that way.
And if I could just add, what's interesting about it is it is a very unique sound. That's the thing about it. It's a unique sound. I don't know what the hell it is sometimes.
They asked me to categorize it. I have no clue. I think my jazz records are a huge part of these, if you want to call them pop records. I hate to do that, but that's what I guess needs to be said. But it's a combination of style, and I never thought about music in terms of genre. Only on interviews do I have to somehow come up with a name, but it's been good. Especially when I tour, in Europe, I get these different audiences, like these combinations of the people who know me from one record and others who know me from another. And it's a great feeling to see them unite as an audience as I play all different kinds of stuff,
And do you see yourself in the future, like going in even another direction, or just going where it takes you?
I just go where I think I'm just going to go wherever it takes me. I was talking to someone the other day. So far every record I made, there was never any question about what kind of record I needed to make in my mind. I had to fight a lot of people through the way, but I went into the studio with only one record in my head. So the decision of what am I going to do now really never happened. And right now, my tank I feel like it's empty due to the play and the record. But I've been there before, so as soon as it refills, I will.
That's such bull duty.
Oh, come on.
Oh, come on. He's so bull-duty. He really is. Don't get me wrong. I'd be exhausted too if I were him.
If you would have me make a record now, I don't know what kind of record I'd make.
But you could write a song right now.
I could write a song right now.
He could do it right now on the telephone, Judge.
Well, I could write a song, but you know what I'm trying to say.
I know.
Well, Tony, let me ask you. I know you're a big fan of Peter's music, so if you could have him make any record right now, where would you push him?
No, I love what he's doing. I love what he's doing. First of all, one of the things that nobody notices or hasn't, I don't hear, is they don't realize his lyrics. Mm-hmm. His lyrics are. He's a bit of a philosopher, this prick. He really is. He really is. He talks about relationships in ways that are very, very insightful, and then he puts words together. Time is like rain, and even what is it? Love can rust. What was that one?
Oh, yeah. I wrote that song with John Bettis, by the way, who is an amazing lyricist and one of my big influences. We worked a lot on my last record together, more than this one, but he's an idol. But yeah.
But I'm just saying, so that's the thing that, so I'm just looking for that. I want to see what he comes up with. I'm like him. I don't have any idea where he's going, but I'm just with him.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Like, I think a lot of your lyrically, your songs paint pictures and tell stories, and it's.
How about
cool.
Do or Die? Did you listen to Do or Die?
Oh yeah.
Are you kidding me? You talk about cinematic. It's incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, you see the whole story, and then the way he does it.
Tony, I have to take you everywhere I go.
Get out of here. You're killing me.
I got to take Tony everywhere I go. From now on, you're going to be in every record label meeting I have.
just want you to know, I'm not kidding. I've been this way for a long time. This is not something that, I know.
What's interesting about Tony is that the genre change never affected him. Because we met, like you said, when I was playing jazz.
Mm-hmm.
And David Foster is similar, too, because I met David when I was playing jazz. But there's just a few people that don't necessarily care about the boxes of music, and that's always nice to see, because I don't care about that either.
But it's not that I don't care about the boxes. It's just really good. It's just really good. By the way, he had written earlier on, too, there's a song that I do in my act of Peters called I Changed the Rules.
Right,
I'm still doing that. I'm going to do it August 11th. I'm doing it.
Okay. When we first, I didn't know Tony that well, but when we first, that's a song off my first record, and I met Tony a few times, but then I'd get calls, because you were on the road at that time too, Tony, and I was on the road, and I'd get calls that, Tony Danza is singing one of your songs. I'd say, what? It was crazy. I didn't even know about it.
Oh, it's a great song,
When you're specifically writing for someone else, that like for the show, that someone else is going to be singing the song, is that more challenging in a way?
I loved it. I've never experienced gratification like that before, especially writing for a character is one thing, and then hearing them, and then the next day you hear 12 people sing some ensemble piece you just wrote the day before. I mean, that's like an instant creative gratification that I've never had on a record or any other way. And then writing for Tony was a whole different thing because, he is a part in the play, but he's not a character like everyone else. It's him, and he's playing himself. So I remember
a character for you,
that
right?
was a whole different. He's his own character. But writing for him was great, and I told him that because I wrote it the day before. We're trying to find a spot that works. And I'm up there just thinking, what do I want Tony to say? Like, what should he say? And then the next day, he comes over, he sings it, and then before you know it, it's on stage, and that feeling was so fulfilling. I never felt that before. So I want to do more of that.
I love it.
Yeah, it's true. I told you when you were in my living room. I said there's that one line with the cantaloupes. I said I just want to hear you say cantaloupes, and the next day you're in my living room saying I grew cantaloupes, and it's just amazing. So I felt very lucky to have that happen to me.
It's a great song, and if more people would write shit like that for me, I'd be in better shape. For Christ's sake.
Thank you again. If you'd like to ask a question, please press *1 at this time.
Thank you for you're like RoboCop. Thank you for your cooperation.
We currently have no more questions in the queue.
Okay.
Okay, great. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, everyone, so much. I believe we are at the end of the call. Of course, we just want to say thank you, a really warm thanks to Tony and Peter. Thanks for your time.
That was my pleasure.
Yeah.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
I'll see you tonight.
All right, I'll see you later.
All right, thanks, everyone. We will provide audio of
Kathy.
today's conference for everyone on the call so that you can transcribe. Take care.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. That concludes today's conference. You may disconnect your lines now.